Hey gang, it's JC and this is your Daily Dose for Tuesday, June 22nd, 2010. A cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. You can check our archives at the top of the page. Dave Murray's weather is over there. Also, you can subscribe to the Daily Dose on iTunes. Just hit that icon right there. And, you know, I got to talk about this again. I hate to belabor this point, but I've run into two people in the last week who have pulled me aside and said, tell me what really happened. Did you do something? Did you piss somebody off? Something? Just tell me the real story. And I've said, I've already told you the real story. The company was trying to save money, and so they pulled the plug on the show, and they saved a big chunk of money. They let me and Katie Cruz go on the same day back in late October, and the president of the company is trying to take the company private and needed to shed some expenses. So that's what's going on. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, I thought they're paying you through March of next year. If you do a little creative accounting, a little creative bookkeeping, and put everything on the books for 2009, anyhow, so that's the deal there. There's no big story. There's no scandal. They were trying to save money, and you get what you pay for. And if you've heard the station recently, you know what I'm talking about. All right, normally I plug our weekly features at the end of the Daily Dose, but I want to make sure I get it in today at the top because this is pretty good stuff. First of all, the Wayback Machine goes way back to 1985, and the most bizarre radio station commercial you've probably seen. It's just a bizarre and I think very ineffective TV spot, which I think is one of the reasons nobody remembers it. But it was a Keishi television commercial from 1985, just plain strange. Also, the Video Village. Now, I'd only been in town about a year when this thing took place, October of 1985. And I had just basically started at Channel 5. I was fairly new there. And they said, Mr. Whipple is going to be in town, the Don't Squeeze the Charmin guy. I was like, well, that's right up my alley. That's great. And so me and Mr. Whipple basically hid in the aisles of a grocery store up in North County and waited for these postmenopausal women to push their shopping carts by, and then we would push Mr. Whipple out there, and they would do this double take. It's really funny. So that's our Video Village for this week. Not necessarily the news. Is a great piece with Chris Carpenter. All right, let's get to the news. The president of these here United States, Barack Obama, was trying to get his mind off of things. You got two wars going on, an oil spill. Everybody's calling him a communist and an alien and all that sort of stuff. Let's go play some golf, him and Joe Biden. And so they're out playing golf, and somebody yells, 4! And Barack Obama turns around and goes, why do we have to bring my approval rating into this? I like a good fireworks show. I like it better when somebody else is doing it, but people blow themselves up with the amateur fireworks shows. A woman in upstate New York blew off her thumb. The doctors take a look around and go, well, you know what we could do? We could slice off your toe and put it on your hand where your thumb used to be, put your big toe there, and so they did. And it was a successful operation so far. No comment from Sergeant Hulka. County Stadium in Milwaukee. And I lived in Milwaukee for a summer in 1980. Went to a lot of games, Brewers games there at the old County Stadium. And that's where I first encountered the sausage races. You know, everybody has their 7th inning and 8th inning traditions. And in Milwaukee, they have the sausage races, and they have people dress up as sausages, and people bet, and then they come running down the left field line. And it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun that Pittsburgh stole it. Of course, they call it pierogi races, but it's a sausage race ripoff. Well, the guy who dressed up as the pierogi was fired last week because he was ripping on the Pittsburgh Pirates, ripping on his bosses on his Facebook page. Watch it, Fred Bird. All right, so guys, you want to pick up women. That's the whole point of things, isn't it? Well, get some Air Supply on, get some Bryan Adams on, because a new study says that women are twice as likely to give you their phone number and sort of just get all lovey-dovey in your presence if there's love songs playing through the speakers wherever you are. So get on it. Speaking of love, The Bachelor, the TV show, is now 1 for 14. Jake Pavelka, the latest Bachelor, and his fiancée, Vienna Girardi, are Splitsville after less than 4 months. 13 of the 14 couples they've set up on the show have gone kaput. American Idol. All right, so you got a relative, some niece or nephew who thinks they're going to be the next American Idol. July 17th, Nashville. That's the closest location to St. Louis. The second most closest place to St. Louis, July 21st in Milwaukee. They are lowering the minimum age to 15. 4 teenagers have either won or come in second place in the history of American Idol. All right, one of my jobs I've always thought is to spot trends. I do a lot of traveling, especially to New York and Los Angeles, and you start to sort of see things popping up, and you're like, hey, you know what? It's only going to be a matter of time before we see this in the Midwest. Well, Marie Claire magazine, they do all that girly stuff. Well, they say, not like men need anything more to be paranoid about, but it turns out on your wedding day, it's increasingly likely now that your bride is wearing a diaper under her wedding dress. I'm sorry to have to be the guy to tell you that, but you know what the problem is? They make these elaborate wedding dresses, and then these women crowbar themselves into the dress, and then they can't get out of the dress. Nature calls. Well, what are you going to do? You can't take all the dress off and everything. So they got women wearing diapers. So when you're, up there at the altar, and you think that your bride is just like, I'm just so happy to be in your presence. She's probably relieving herself. It's not matrimonial bliss, folks. One of the other trends is out in California, and up until now, you come up to a stoplight and there's a car in front of you, and you have to look at their stupid Bill O'Reilly bumper sticker, or the anti-abortionist people, or maybe there's a license plate frame, Nebraska Cornhuskers. Well, now, guess what? Because of digital license plates, you're going to pull up to a stoplight and you're going to have to watch a commercial on the back of some guy's car on his license plate. Get ready for that. All right, today is Celebrity Tuesday, and because it is, I get to tell you that Brian Wilson, Mike Love, and Al Jardine, the surviving members of the Beach Boys, along with Bruce Johnston, are finally going to get together all on the same stage and do an anniversary show for their 50th anniversary, and that brings us, in fact, to Celebrity Tuesday and Brian Wilson. Now, I first saw the Beach Boys in DeKalb, Illinois, at Northern Illinois University back in 1972, and then I saw them again at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where they play the College World Series, and I was working there. And I was supposed to interview Bruce Johnston, and he's like, yeah, come on back. And I'm like, Bruce Johnston, great. That's like saying back in the 90s, we got Ally McBeal on. It's like no Callista Flockhart interview, no Jane Krakowski, no Portia de Rossi, no Peter McNichol, no Lucy Liu, no Courtney Thorne-Smith, no Greg Gurman, no Vonda Shepard. And they're like, how about Gil Bellows? So I got stuck with Bruce Johnston. And I had been backstage at a lot of concerts, including some pretty heavy-duty ones like Bob Seger and Kiss. That was a freak show. I'll save that for another segment. But in this case, they had giant trailers behind the stage, and I went in there, and Brian Wilson was sitting there with a dazed look on his face, ingesting marijuana, sort of like when you see those 4th of July chicken wing or hot dog eating contests where somebody's just eating. Well, this guy was like ingesting pot like you wouldn't believe. Outside, I got something on my tongue there. And he had a black woman, a hooker in red spandex, who was just sort of sitting on his lap doing nothing. It was a very freaky show. So now they start the actual concert, and Brian Wilson is sitting in the corner, and he's got a little box of sand. He's got his toes in under his piano, and he's playing, and the look of horror on the faces of the other guys in the band. They were all just sort of, playing their guitars looking like this, like, Jesus, what's he going to do? Is he going to fall off the stage? And it was just a bizarre event. I'm not even sure his piano was hooked up to anything, and the guys in the band just had a terrified look on their faces. Later on, I got to talk to some of the Beach Boys, and this was like when the Reagans were in office, and there was that whole astrology thing. The Beach Boys were like, well, we believe in astrology. We love Nancy Reagan. So then you fast forward to 2002, and the Beach Boys are playing on the Arch Grounds during the VP Fair, and Brian Wilson is playing at Riverport at the exact same time, and they were both awful. But when you look to music like God Only Knows, which I think is one of the best songs ever recorded, and Good Vibrations, Sail on Sailor, and that stuff in the Surf's Up era, boy, that's some awfully good music. All right, it was on this day 2 years ago that George Carlin, the master, passed away at age 71. We still miss him. JC's Eye Candy today. I think this video is a fraud, but I can't prove it, so watch it and tell me how they did it, because I don't think what you're seeing is what really happened. It involved a nail gun. Tomorrow, cat people versus dog people, and 8 companies that may be extinct by the end of next year. That's it, your Daily Dose for Tuesday, June 22nd, 2010. We'll talk to you tomorrow. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye!